One, two. One, two. Hello. Well, I have my mask on. This good? Jonah, you good? I just changed this mic. Yeah, you good? Carl, you got to clean it up. Okay, let's bring that gain up. One, two. Hello, 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 hello. Talk to me. Carl? Um, uh, hold on. Yeah, we're going to check pack two also. I'm going to leave this on stage.
We do bottles of water with no labels.
Okay, I'll try to get it.
Thank you.
Steven, if you can hold that, I'm just going to go on broadcast.
Check, check, 1, 2. Yeah. They're actually all three going to be talking at the same time. Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm on pack 2.
Rob. The one that says Rob. Still talking. Making my way downtown. Walking around. I don't remember the rest of the Vanessa Carlton song. Are we still good or you want me to keep talking? Okay. I'm still talking. Sitting here on stage. Yes. Man City plays later on today. I'm excited to watch that. I believe it's Southampton United, so that'll be a good game. Hopefully we blow them out like we did West Brom, 5-0. I believe Man U plays as well, and hopefully they lose. That make me even happier. One day I'm going to see Gary playing professional soccer, and I'm going to say I knew him. Do you want me to keep talking? Okay. Still talking. Other things to talk about. I'm going to read the Fiji Water. The Fiji Water Foundation. The Fiji Water Foundation was created in 2007 with two goals. First, to support the communities where we live and work. Second, to preserve Fiji's natural beauty. Since then, we've founded initiatives that include
Two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2. We're good on 2. Awesome. Good, good, good.
arrive, and I messed up the first line because this is not a book tour. Yeah, we're going to talk about a book today. We're going to talk about this content that Rob Hoskins and John Maxwell has put together for you and I. But really, this is a movement tour, and we're starting a movement today in Austin, Texas. We are. And if this crowd keeps getting better, we're not going to hear anything from George and John because they're ready to let the world know we're ready to host you in Austin. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to bring up John Maxwell, and I'll tell you that he is going to bring today not just a change your world message. He's going to bring a message that I promise you will drive you to pull out your cell phones, grab your smart pads, get yourself ready, whether it's by book or pencil or pen. You want to take notes from what John Maxwell's going to say. It will make a difference for you. And then after that, we're going to bring up Rob Hoskins. And Rob, you may not know Rob. Now, a lot of people in Austin know Rob. A lot of people in the States know Rob. But let me tell you about Rob and his organization, One Hope. He has for years, decades, been committed to putting values-based leadership training into the hands of children, school-aged children that otherwise would not know about values that make a difference. In fact, his organization just crossed a benchmark that I thought I'd tell you about today. They have now trained 1.7 billion kids. I don't know if you're clapping because of the 1.7 billion or the fact that I practiced backstage for 5 minutes to say billion rather than million. Because yes, it's 1.7 billion, but the thing I love about Rob the most is not just the 1.7 billion, but he has quantitatively shown the results of transformation of values-based teaching in the lives of young people, and you get to hear from him today. Now, we're going to hear from him after John speaks, then we're going to do some Q&A. We may even have a couple of questions here in the audience in Austin. We also are going to be monitoring the chat box, and we want questions from you all around the world. I've already seen the hundreds of you that signed up early are from literally over 100 countries have joined us today. Now, it's time for my mentor, my boss, the guy that has impacted so many of us through his books, John Maxwell, to come to the stage. If you don't know John, he's written 86 different books. That's more books than some people have read. Not in Austin, online. Sorry, online. I had to pick on you a minute. He sold over 34 million copies of his books that are now in the hands of people all around the world. You say, how do you know? He's counting. Will you help me welcome John C. Maxwell to the stage today?
Woo. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, we started in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we've been to, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 cities now. We're doing 2 cities a day. Mark gave you the kind of our schedule. But I have looked really forward to coming to Austin. But when you're leaving Grand Rapids, anywhere sounds good. But to be here, to be with Joe and Lori, people that Rob and I both are very close to. Joe and Robbie really have been very influential in our organization and Rob's organization. I mean, they're more than friends. They're fellow leaders, team players. I've been with Joe and Lori here at the church at least 3, maybe 4 times. Every time I come, I love my time with you. You have such a great congregation. And before I teach, I just want all of us to just thank Joe and Lori and their team here for thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you very, very much. Very, very, very special people. And so are you. And that's why I'm glad I'm here. I would like to do a teaching that's really not in the book Change Your World, because I want to give something, I want to add value to you beyond the book, because I know that all of you have the book, all of you are going to read the book, most of you will have it memorized, in a week or two. I have very high expectations for you. You'll all take the assessment test on values. You'll all start a transformation table. I know that. I just know you're there. But because of the environment that we live in and what happened in 2020, and 2020 wasn't like a great year, was it? It wasn't a great year. And 2021 isn't starting off too hot either, is it, huh? And I thought I would do something I really haven't done until on the tour here. I thought I would talk to you just for a few minutes about how to lead people during difficult times, during a crisis, when things aren't going well. What does a leader do? And I thought I would share with you 5 questions that I ask myself as a leader during these kind of times. And these questions are very simple. All of you will not only be able to understand them, all of you will be able to do them. And that's what makes it really work. I wrote a book several years ago called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And when I write a book, I honestly, most of the time, never know how well it's going to do. I've been very surprised at some books, and this was one of them. I thought I really need to help leaders ask great questions. So I wrote the book, but I didn't realize it became very popular. In fact, it's still very, very popular. And I have an entire chapter on questions leaders ask themselves. And I think it's very important for us as leaders, if we're going to lead well, to have authenticity in asking questions that will help us to lead really well. One of the great changes in my life as a leader has been that when I was a young leader, I was very directional, and basically I knew what I wanted, and I was very visionary, and I would just share with people, hey, let's go charge that hill, and I grab them and put them on the leadership train. And I just basically was quite confident and very definite what I wanted to see accomplished, and so I just brought people along with me. But as I've matured as a leader over the years, I've changed from that kind of directional style to more of a conversational style where I ask questions. And it's made a major change in my leadership. And the reason why is what I've discovered over time and maturity, like we all do in our growth, is that you really can't lead people till you find them. You have to find them first. And it's in asking questions that we find them. But what I'm going to talk to you about is even more important than finding others. You see, the questions I ask myself, these 5 questions, help me to find me. There's nothing worse than a leader trying to lead others and they're lost themselves. Kind of like Mr. Magoo, you know what I mean? And so these 5 questions I ask myself, and it really helps me to lead others, especially during difficult times. So let me give them to you. And again, what's really exciting is that every one of you can do this. Okay, this is all within your reach. In fact, look at your neighbor and say to them, even you can do this. This is good. In fact, look right back at them and say, why do you think I brought you here today? Okay. I'll give you the questions in sequence. So first is really the first question I ask right through 5. The first question I ask myself during a difficult time is what am I feeling? It's a question about emotions. What do I feel? Because during any difficult time, people's emotions run very high. And this question is the first question I ask because it's a connecting question. It's a question that allows me to connect with the people that need my leadership. And in fact, any leader that doesn't ask this question very quickly during a difficult time is going to not connect with the people, because the strongest feelings during difficult times, especially in the beginning part of difficult times, the strongest feelings we have are emotional. We have these emotions, and oh my gosh, how did this happen? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? And so there's a lot of emotional feeling going on. And so I asked myself this question because I want to make sure that I'm on the same page with people. I want to feel what they feel. I want to even sense what they sense. This is very important. Because maybe, just maybe, the first thing that a leader can do for his or her people during difficult times is to be able to look at them in the eye and say, I understand. I understand. In fact, I have some of the same questions you have. Yeah. This is a difficult time, isn't it? You see, people always want leaders to be close, but they really want leaders to be close during uncertainty. The visual presence of leadership is very visual. There's no such thing as following an unseen, unknown leader. Leadership is very visual, but during difficult times, it needs to be even more visual. You need to walk slowly through the crowd. You need to walk beside people. You need to be close to people. In fact, they're looking for a friend more than they're looking for a leader. And if we do this first question well, then the 4 questions that I'll be sharing with you in a moment just really work. But if we don't do the first question well, the other 4 won't work at all. I mean, this is what I call the leadership qualifier during difficult times. What am I feeling? I don't think people want a perfect leader, but I do think they want an authentic leader. And I think that they want a leader that says, I understand. Yeah. I feel that way too. Now, the moment that you have an emotional connection with people, which is the common ground, that's the first common ground that you establish with people. The moment that they know that you care, in fact, probably my oldest statement I'm best known for. I was thinking about this the other day because this is an old statement. I bet I started making this statement 40 years ago. And so I thought, well, that was an old statement. Then I began thinking a lot of my statements, and a lot of them are old. And I thought, how can I have so many old statements and be so young? But one of them that I say, that I've repeated for many times, is people don't care how much you know. You got it, don't you, huh? I mean, I can hear you mouthing it. People really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Look at that. See, that's right. And that's what this first question's all about. They really want to, they don't need your leadership acumen yet. They really need your heart. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, what do I teach? One of the laws, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. They understand the sequence. So question number 1 is what am I feeling? You got that one, don't you? You're ready. You're ready for question number 2. Question number 2 is what am I seeing? Now we're going to talk about not only what a leader feels, but what a leader sees. And again, if you follow my teachings much, you understand that one of my real strong teaching statements is in the identity of what does a leader look like. And the leaders, regardless of country or culture or time, have only one thing in common, that you can just go to the bank, that every leader has this in common, and it is the fact that leaders see more than others see, and they see before others see. So when I ask my question, what am I seeing right now? There is an assumption as a leader that my picture is bigger than the people's picture, okay? And by the way, during a crisis, during difficult times, people's picture shrinks. They become very withdrawn, and during emotional times, that picture begins to be centered around me and what's happening to me, and what about my job, and that the picture during a crisis for most people gets smaller. For the leader, the picture gets bigger. And so now you can see the contrast. My picture is getting bigger during a crisis, their picture is getting smaller. Now, what I need to do as a leader is I need to help them see a bigger picture. But remember this, they won't see a bigger picture with me until they know I care and I understand. So again, that sense of common touch with the emotion is essential throughout your leadership during the difficult times. You never remove yourself from what the people are feeling. But the sight that you have is the first glimmer of light that they get. Remember this, you feel with people for connection so that you have the right to lead them. Feeling for people just for feeling for people doesn't make you a leader. Never has, never will. It makes you a good friend, but it doesn't make you a leader. So don't get the two of them confused. I have a lot of people who, during a difficult time, are very kind to me and care for me. I call them friends, but they can't help me. Are you with me? I mean, your goal is not to lay down in the ditch with somebody. No, your goal is to help them get out of the ditch. So you connect with them emotionally. But now when I ask myself, what do I see? I've got to help them begin to take that picture that is continually getting smaller. It's all about me. It's all about me. And what about me? And I've got to stop that, and I've got to help them kind of open up and see a little bit more than they've ever seen before. When you think of immaturity, the sign of immaturity is that people that are immature see things only from their perspective. That's immaturity. That's what little toddlers and babies that are immature, what is it? It's all about them. It's all about them. It's always all about them. And you kind of hope as they get a little older, they'll grow out of that it's all about me, and they'll understand it's not all about me. There are other people in the world. I love it when people say, well, they're very young and they're immature, but as they get older, they'll get more mature. And my observation is that's not always true. I know a lot of people, they're getting older, but they're not getting more mature. They're still very selfish. They're still very inward. They still see things just from their perspective. And as a leader, because we see more than others, it's our responsibility to help them to see the other side of the coin, to know the rest of the story. So immaturity is when I see things from my perspective. Maturity is when I have the ability to see things from the perspective of other people. And when you're going through a difficult time, it's important to see the perspective of other people, and it's also very important to see the big picture. I'm a little bit leadership sad, to be honest with you right now, because I think we have an awful lot of immaturity in leadership. And I think we have an awful lot of personal agenda above people agenda. And I'm leadership sad. Some days I get leadership mad. Sometimes when I'm alone, I get leadership bad. It just means I cuss. But the point of it is as I look, I just want to help. I just want to help all of us to see the whole picture. Just the whole picture. And leaders see more than others see. And they begin to help people see the big picture. So, what do I feel? What do I see? Question number 3. What do I think? What do I think? Now, this question sets apart leadership from others probably more than any other question of the 5. Because during a crisis, very little thinking happens. I mean, I'm looking at people and I'm asking myself all the time, what are they thinking? Are you with me? I mean, and then I realize that they're not thinking. And that's why I have to ask myself the question, what am I thinking? Because I look at them and I say, oh my gosh, they're letting their emotions run their life. They're not mentally in the game. I wrote a book several years ago called How Successful People Think. And it's I have 10 books that have sold 1 million copies or more. And it's the only one of the 10 that's not a leadership book. And I love that book because it's all about the differences between people that do well and their thinking and people that don't do well. There's a gap. The greatest gap in life is the thinking gap. And successful people, I don't think, are smarter than unsuccessful people, but I do know this for a fact: they think differently than other people. And during a crisis, one of the things that you want to do is you want to help people think in ways that will be beneficial to them, not think in ways that will be destructive to them. Because you see, I am today where my thoughts have brought me. I will be tomorrow where my thoughts take me. And so therefore, how I think is so essential to how well I do. It all begins with what am I thinking about? I wrote my first book I wrote in 1979, okay? Gosh, it's a long time, isn't it? Most of you weren't even a gleam in your mother's eye. The first book I wrote was a book called Think on These Things. And I took it from, I'm a person of faith, I took it from a passage in Philippians that I grew up because my father would quote it to me all the time about thinking about things that are good, and good report, et cetera, and things that build up, not things that tear down. And my father was mentored by Norman Vincent Peale. And so, you know, when I was in the 7th grade, it was the first time I met him, and that was the first time I spent time with him. My father took me to meet him. And so this whole idea of how to think is huge. And so my first book was Think on These Things. And it's not a good book. It's not a good book. So I saw, the only reason I said that is I saw a couple of you write it down. And for a moment, fear gripped me that you would go buy that book. And my name is John. I'm your friend. Don't buy that book. Don't buy that book, okay? I'm not being modest. I'm being helpful. The thing that's amazing, it's still in print. I keep asking the publisher to do us a favor, and they keep making money off of it. So, now get the picture. It's a little over 100 pages. It has 33 chapters. Yes, you're right. I know you're there. You're ahead of me. You're right. You're so right. You're so good. Yeah, it's 3 pages a chapter. Yeah, it is. And the lady comes up to me recently, and she has the book, and she wants me to sign it. And I said, that's the first book I ever wrote. She said, I know. She said, I love this book. I thought, uh-oh. I said, what do you love about it? She said, the short chapters. She said, where did you ever think of doing short chapters? You know, it's just 3 pages a chapter. I love that. How did you think of just doing 3-page chapters? I said, lady, it's my first book. Some of those chapters are 2 pages too long. I ran out of gas. I mean, I just wrote a page or two, and I thought, well, that's it. I have nothing to say about that anymore. I'm totally done. You see, one of the things I teach on is you're never good the first time. It was my first book. I love people who say, well, I've never done this before, so I'm really working on it because I really want to be good. And I say, oh my gosh, relax, you're not that good. It's going to be kind of lousy, to be honest with you, but it's okay. But that was my first book. Think on these things. And she loved the short chapters. It took me a year to write it. I'm just trying to help you that want to write a book to be encouraged today. Took me a year. Yeah, you can do the math on that too. That's about a page every 3.5 days. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you really want to be specific, it's a paragraph a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about 2 words an hour. I'm just giving so much hope right now to would-be writers. They say, yes. But the reason I wrote the book on thinking was because I understand that the decided difference between successful and unsuccessful people is how they think. So I ask myself, what do I feel? What do I see? What do I think? Question number 4. Before I give you question number 4, just gonna ask you a question. Are you learning something? Yep. Are you learning something? Are you learning something? Okay. That's okay. Just checking. Just checking, because you're sharp. You're really sharp. No, you are. No, I'm watching you. Why I talk, I watch you, and you're sharp. In fact, you're getting it. I can just look right in. I see it. You're getting it. You're getting it. Now, I will just say confidentially, just take a moment, just between you and me. I don't think the person on your left is as smart as you. And you don't either, do you? No, you don't. I can tell you, because every one of you, you're looking to your left, and some of you going, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I want you to help, because we got 2 more questions. I'm going to bring the guys up here. So I want you to help them, if you would. Just look at the person that's, to your left and say, it's okay. I'll help you. Tell them, I'll help you. I'll help. Woo! It's getting so much better now. It's getting so much better. What do I feel? What do I see? What do I think? Question 4. What do I know? What do I know? In a crisis, there's a lot more I don't know than I do know. So this question isn't about being smarter than everybody or being Mr. Answer Man or Mr. or Mrs. Answer Woman. It's not about that. In fact, there's a whole bunch of stuff I still don't know. I mean, once I've been asked 10,000 times by people, because they look at me as a leader, when's COVID-19 going to be over? Doesn't that question where I don't know. I don't know when it's going to be over. I don't know. And in fact, if you run into somebody that knows, run away from them as quick as you can. You don't want to follow that person. You don't want to. So it's okay. It's okay not to know a lot of stuff as a leader during a difficult time. But what I'm going to talk to you about, what you know right now, you don't want to miss this. You see, here's what I know right now. I know there's an answer. I know there's an answer. I know we'll come through this. I know we will. You see, the tendency for people during a crisis is to think that it's never been so bad as it is right now. And people say, I'll bet this is the worst day in humankind. No, it's not even close. Not even close. But when things go bad, there's a tendency, again, for us to get small and, oh my gosh, it's the worst. And here's what I know. I know there is an answer. There is always an answer. You see, I have a lot less certainties at 73 than I had at 23. At 23, I was really good. I wish you could have heard me then. Oh my gosh. You just asked me a question, I know everything. I know it. I just know. I just know. I just know. I just know. And I'll help you. I know. Before Mark and I had children, I was a pastor for 25 years. I had 4 unbelievable messages on how to raise children. I really could kill it. I mean, I could just... And then we had children. Doesn't life just have a way of kicking it out of us? I tell every person, you need to be a parent just so you can be humbled. And so I have less certainties today than I had. But let me tell you what, the few certainties I have left today, here's what's beautiful. I'm more certain about them than I ever have been before because they have been tested. Faith that hasn't been tested can't be trusted. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? It's good and it's true. It's really true. So what I know is that there's an answer. And that confidence is what gives people security. It's what allows me to lead them during a difficult time. You see, what I know is that if I take good care of today, tomorrow will take care of itself. The tendency when people become insecure is they want to go too far out. And going far out, there's no knowledge out there. There's guesswork, but what I do know is today matters, and today is the day that I can do something about what I'm doing. And one of the things I'm loving about Change Your World is we've got something that we've put into your hand, a resource that we can do something about where we are right now. We've got something that's going to bring positive change. So this is huge. What I know is there's always an answer, and when people know that you know that light is at the end of the tunnel and you're going to get there. There is an incredible amount of sense of relief in people's life. It's that confidence, it's that security that you give people. Okay, question number 5. You're so good. I just want to keep teaching. But these 2 guys have got to come up because what they're going to do is add so much more value to you than what I can. So I got to bring them up, but I don't want to bring them up. Can we talk? They're expecting to get up here. And I don't want them to get up here. Because you're so good. I want to keep teaching. But that's immaturity. So I'm going to bring them up in a second. And when I do, you'll be glad I brought him up. In fact, you'll ask, why didn't John bring him up quicker? And that will tick me off. But before I bring him up, question number 5. What do I do? What do I do? You see, the tendency when difficult times come, the tendency is to not do anything, to freeze. I had a stewardship company, and when 9/11 hit, every week we signed a contract to help a congregation somewhere in America raise money for building programs. Every week. And when 9/11 hit and the towers fell, from 9/11 to the end of the year, we never signed another contract. Everybody froze. Everybody said, I'm not going to do anything. My gosh, what's happening? I'm just going to hold still. You see, the tendency is for when things go bad, surprised, blindsided, all that stuff. People have a tendency to freeze. And what leaders know more than anything is leaders know that the worst thing that can happen is for people to do nothing. And so therefore, they've got to get them to do something. They've got to help them get out of that maze of just holding still, and they need to take them to action. And that's why I love the Change Your World tour and the movement and the book, because this is a positive way to get people going and involved. I was talking to a leader 3 days ago, and he told me, he said, John, more than anything else as a leader, I need to put something in the hands of my people that will allow them to take some positive actions so that they can begin to feel like they're beginning to make a positive difference. I said, I got it. I know what you're talking about. That's why, hey, thank you very much. What's your name? Did you say Marie? Gabrielle. What did she say? Gabrielle. Gabrielle. In every audience, there's one person who gets it. And everyone else, Gabrielle, is on your left. Everyone else. And we have the opportunity to help people take action with Change Your World. I close with this statement, then I bring my fellow team members who add so much value to me to the stage. I close with this statement. The greatest intention is not as good as the smallest action. Don't miss it. Good intentions are well overrated. Small actions are underrated. And what we want to do is we want to become people of action and change our world right where we are. Do you see what a positive influence you're having on others? Do you see how they're starting to follow you? This is just amazing. When you bring your book around to be signed, I have a special note for you that no one else, just me and you. You got it. I'm going to bring the boys on now. These two guys immeasurably add to my life. Mark Cole runs everything for me, does an incredible job. I am so proud of him. Rob Hoskins. Oh my gosh, what would this book be without him? It would not be near as good as it is. Would you give Mark and Rob a big hand as they come on stage? Come on, guys. All right, here we go. Yes, sir.
Wow. So, John, let me just say this. There's 4 people watching online that have something in common with everybody else here in Georgetown, Austin, that said, AT said, she's from the Philippines, she said, I'm ready to change Philippines. A said, I'm from Thailand and I want to know what to do next because we're going to change Thailand. Gabby said, Mexico too. We're ready to change Mexico. And Rachel's from Uganda, and she says, please tell me what I need to do. I'm ready to do something and stop listening to something. So, yeah. So we're going to make this next segment really simple because John told us, and we're going to hear from Rob, we're going to hear from John, but it's really simple. While you're in the practice of writing, write down changeyourworld.com because that's where everything happens. That's the community. There's already 6,000 people that have taken the assessment, responded to the assessment, spent an average of 7 minutes or more on that website to find out how to start a round table and go. And I'm just telling you, Austin, you're behind a step or two. So let's catch up because you can do it. Changeyourworld.com, there's 3 steps to do there. Get the book, take the assessment, it's free, and join the movement. Get the book, take the assessment, join the movement, and we're going to break that down for you now. But John, 86 books, less than 5, maybe just 3, you've co-authored with somebody.
Yeah, 3.
And yet this book that you've said often is the most important book that you will have written, you decided to co-author it with Rob. How come?
Because I needed help. I needed help. And the book, Changing Your World, is too big of a subject for me. And so I had to go get somebody bigger than me, better than me, faster than me, smarter than me, more experienced than me. That was Rob. I mean, he has been doing transformation around the world, and I have so greatly admired him. We've been friends for many, many years. And Mark, I wanted to give you the best book, and the best way I can give you the best book is to go find the best person to help me. And that's why I brought you, Rob. And you're going to read, yes, that's right. There are chapters in this book that would have never been near what they would have been if it wouldn't have been for you, Rob. So I got him because I needed help. I need a lot of help. I need you to help me. Will you help me? Huh? No, I need you to help me. We need everybody to help. This is bigger than us.
So Rob, I do want you to tell the story of when you and John decided to write the book together, but you were working on a dissertation about transformation because of what you've seen with 1.7 billion kids. And then John asked you the question, so I have to ask you, why'd you write a book with John?
I don't know if you need to ask that question.
Let's see. Why write a book with John Maxwell? That was the question, right? I don't know. Why play golf with Jack Nicklaus? Michael Jordan called me up. You want to play basketball? No, I don't want to play with you, Michael. We've been doing a couple of these now, and it's so funny. John comes out and he says what he just said, and I think I still blush every time, and just so honored and humbled by him. And
it's true.
Well,
no.
It's
true.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, you just.
I just feel like saying, I'm just tired of dragging this guy along all the time now. Just riding on my coattails again, John. Come on.
Hit the ball and drag John. Hit the ball and drag John.
It's great. No, I understand the question, but here's we were on a boat together in Fort Lauderdale, and John's been mentoring me for many years, and particularly over the last 4 or 5 years, our favorite subject, the thing we love talking about most, has been this subject of transformation. How does change happen? How do we know whether it's happening? How can we start a transformational movement? And we didn't just talk about it, we started doing things together. We started working together, our 2 organizations, and building programs together and measuring those programs to ensure that we were doing what John has always wanted to do, add value to people. How do you know how much value are you adding to people? And that's how transformation was, the science of it just fascinated me. And so I started digging in deeper and wrote a doctoral dissertation on it. And I was sharing, when we were done, the material that was in there. And I turned to my mentor, I turned to John, and I said, John, you know, 5 people will probably read this dissertation. I mean, really, some academic people somewhere. And I said, but how do we make it accessible? John, do you think there is a popular book in this work? And John paused and he goes, yes, there is. There's a popular book there. There's information there that everyone needs to have access to. And then he paused and he looked at me and he said, Rob, can I write that book with you? I sat there for a moment, just absorbing what he had just asked me. And I said, John, let me think about it. Yes. I said, that... He said it took me 2.2 seconks. I can guarantee you it did not take me that long.
It did. He's very slow.
Mark, you're my witness. It did not take me that long.
He's very slow too.
I'm not kidding.
Hey, excuse me. They're both very slow. I'm just trying to bring them with me as fast as I can.
And here, I mean, even at that first conversation, though, Mark, you've already said it, but we wanted far more than a book.
Yeah.
I love the way Joe said it. He said, this is a moment, but it's a moment that we want to become a movement.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's really what we said, is this has to be more than a book. This has to be really equipping and empowering people to be able to go out. And the name on the book is really not just Change Your World. It says, change your world how anyone, anywhere can make a difference.
Yeah.
And see, that's transformation is something that seems so lofty, so big that, oh, I could never make that happen. But what we began to find is that the principles and what we had learned and what we had invested in these programs that we were doing was scalable at any level.
Yeah.
That transformation really is possible for anyone, anywhere. It's possible for me in my own internal life. I can apply the principles that are in this book, and I can see my own personal life transformed. I can see it happen in my family, with my wife, with my kids. I can see transformation happening in my own family, in my company, and with my neighbors, in my community, in my world. Change is possible for anyone, anywhere. And so that's what got us most excited about this book. We said, wow, it's more than a book. It's an actual process. It's what we've learned that's in here, and we built a platform for it. And I believe, you asked the question, why John Maxwell? And let me tell you, yes, of course you want to write about, but it's more than that. I mean, there are very few people that can explain what transformation is. And I really believe sitting next to me is one of the great communicators of our lifetime with the ability I mean, I said in one of the last meetings, I said, I was about to say of the last century, and then I realized it was the 20th and the 21st, and I said, the greatest communicator of the last 2 centuries.
Yeah, they got the old man here. They got the old man here.
We've got 2 centuries of experience in between us, Mark, right here.
Yes, sir, and a couple days of experience on both of my sides.
Yeah. And so it's John's ability to move the masses. And that's what we need. We need this to be so understandable, so approachable, so easy,
right.
that every one of you sitting in this room, everybody online right now, I love those 4 comments right there. Okay, let's go. Let's go do something. But and John said this so many times. It's been such a guide to me. That a vision without action is just a dream. And we talk about that in the book, but we also talk about how action without values is a nightmare. And so it's not just about any type of action. It's not just about, let's go out there and just start doing something. No, we want to see positive change come to people. And we have discovered through 30 years of my life's work, and John 40 years of his life work, what has worked and what hasn't. How have we been able to really know that positive change is accessible and doable for every situation and circumstances I'm facing? And that's what I love about this book, because it's not theory. It's actual stuff that's been put into practice and has worked. And at every level. I mean, there are such incredible stories in here of the people that we have met, that we've walked with and journeyed on this journey of transformation. And we've seen those people everywhere become agents of transformation. Some of them are great leaders. I mean, we've got stories in here of people that own multi-billion-dollar businesses, and some of their stories are amazing, because they said, I had experienced incredible success, but I woke up one morning, I realized that I didn't have any significance in my life. I realized that I was failing in some areas of my life. One of the stories with my own son, and I can have everything in the world, but if I can't bring transformation to my son, then nothing else matters in my life. And it's his story of moving beyond where he was and transforming himself and his son. And now that principle that he learned in working with his son is now turned into an incredible movement that's helping fathers and sons and kids everywhere. I mean, I get so excited about his story. But I also get excited about the story of Tiffany, a little 13-year-old girl I met in Lima, Peru, in a slum. Everything against her. Everything on paper says this girl's going to be a losing statistic. I was so taken by her in the school, her life. Here she was in such a dark place, and I saw light in her life, John, and I said, I want to know more, and I followed her home, and her father was drunk. Found out he'd been abusing her. You know what? That little girl is transforming the education system in Peru today. transformation is available to anyone, anywhere. Anyone, anywhere. And that's why we're so excited, Mark, about what's happening.
Yeah. Before I lose this, I'm so moved right now. Before I lose this comment, and then I'll come back to my question. Otaniel Castillo Diaz, he says, I live in Cuba. How can I get the book, and how can I start a movement?
Oh, man, come on.
In Cuba?
In Cuba. Don't you love this reach?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
John, you've said, not just in Cuba and many of the other countries that we've talked about, not even here in Austin, in the incredible place that we find ourselves here in the States as far as it relates to values-based, people-centric servant leadership. You said, I'm leadership sad. Talk to me about, for such a time as this, why is this the time for this book? Why is this the time for people in Cuba stepping up and saying, I want to transform? What is it that's going on that makes this book, this movement, so important to you and so important to us for outcomes to demonstrate transformation?
Well, to me, it's very obvious that timing is perfect. People only change at 4 different occasions in their life. There's what you call the tide of change when it comes in, and you can change and then it kind of goes out. And the 4 times that people change is first of all, when they hurt enough that they have to. Does that describe our time right now? I mean, people are way out of their comfort zone. They hurt enough they have to. Number 2, that they're inspired enough that they want to, that they're encouraged to. And thirdly, when they learn enough that they're able to change. The light comes on. And fourthly, when they receive enough resources around their life that they're able to. And these are the 4 times people change. And when I look at that, especially 1, 3, and 4, 3 of those 4 times that people change are right now. I mean, it's like this is our time and this is a moment. And let me say, we all have a choice. Change Your World says we have a choice. And here's what I want you, don't miss this. We have a choice. We can either curse the darkness or we can turn on the light. And Change Your World is all about turning on the light. How many of you want to turn on the light? Huh? Turn on the light. Turn on. You can curse the darkness, but the darkness never goes away by you cursing it. You got to go get the light switch. You got to flip on the light. And so the timing is so right for us. And that's what's exciting me.
I just shared this with these guys. I just saw it. They just come out with what were the #1 web searches of the year 2020. And what was startling, as we're on this tour together, was people searched in 2020 twice as much for how to change the world, twice as much as how to go back to normal.
That's wonderful. That's healthy.
Right?
That's beautiful.
I think people are tired of normal. I mean, I think normal probably got us in the mess we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. You hear this statement, let's just get along to go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a stupid statement. I mean, I don't want to, believe me, we need to get along. In fact, one of the things we talk about in the book is how important unity and collaboration is to transformation. I want to get along, but I don't want to get along to go along. I want to get along. I want us to collaborate. I want us to be unified to transform the world. I want to see something different happen, and that's why I'm just so thrilled, because this book is filled with, and people are ready. I just think John's absolutely right. Now is the time, Joe. Now is the moment for a movement to start, and I don't want to wait around. I want us to jump in, and I just love what I see happening on this tour. Mark, we've seen just in the 5 short days we've had, just sharing these stories of what's happening. What gets celebrated gets replicated. Have you ever noticed that? That's how transformations build and grow. And just in a few short times, we've had people stepping up right out of audiences like this with visions and dreams, and they're saying, I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do, and then people hear what they're doing. Can I collaborate with? Right in the room we're seeing it happen. And that's when I know this is going to be a movement.
Yeah. So John in this work, as John always does, he says, hey, I don't want this to be a leadership book. I want this to be an everyone book. I don't want leadership to be a barrier of entry. So you challenge us, popularize the message. Popularize the message. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
And we've done that. Go to the website, changeyourworld.com. It's simple. Yet you, Rob, said we're not going to really know if we have transformation unless we figure out a way to watch it go through a process. Talk a little bit about how you've done that at One Hope, but also how you've challenged us to make this a much more robust, committed movement than just releasing a book.
Absolutely, because I think all of us are realizing, man, I want to change something, so let me just go out and do something, you know. And particularly as Americans, we're great at this. I mean, we're hammers. We see a nail, we hit it. You know, I mean, that's just who we are. I see a problem, I'm going to get involved and do something. You know, well, and what I found even in my journey to transformation, my journey to outcomes was I was seeing places where One Hope was doing amazing things on paper. I mean, we had so much activity going. We were giving out so many resources, and what I saw was we had a lot of outputs in some places. I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of outputs and activity going on. And yet, when I would come into those countries or communities, and then I would ask some questions about, well, what's changed? What's transformed? And many places I'd see where we had poured in a lot of resources, time, energy, volunteerism, everything going on, that sometimes very little was changing. And I thought, something's wrong with this picture. I mean, if we're doing this, then we should be getting that. And we weren't getting that. We weren't getting transformation. And so we slowed everything down, and we began to build a process to ensure that what we weren't just doing was measuring our outputs, but that we were beginning to measure our outcomes. And that we would build a conceptual framework for allow us to make sure that every activity we had was being measured. And with those measurements, we could decide through a process to make things better and better until they were right, until none of us got into life to measure our lives by our activities or by the number of outputs we have. You know, what excites us is to see change happen, to see transformation happen. And so we began to do that. And Mark, we began to just see things explode because we were seeing the results we wanted to see. And those results are real people's lives that have been transformed and changed. And so this book is not just it's filled with inspiration. I mean, I'm sitting next to the king of inspiration right here. I mean, if you don't get inspired reading this book, you're dead. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with you. We'll just take you to the hospital. But I mean,
The morgue.
but it's also filled with a lot of information that if you apply it to whatever context or situation you're in, that you're going to see true, measurable outcomes begin to take place everywhere, in your family, in your community. This applies to business, education, all the streams and spheres, your neighborhood. And here's one of the problems, I think, John. I think the frustration with leadership SAD is that everybody's trying to sort of wait and say, well, I hope the world gets transformed around me. I hope a politician's going to do it. I hope a pastor's. I'm looking for someone to transform. Hey, look, no one's going to transform your life. Yeah. You got to take initiative. Yeah. You got to start something. And what I love about this journey of transformation that I've been on, John, is that you can start so small and then just see the results begin to come. When those results come, what I found is people want to join you on the journey. Yep. They jump in, they go, wow, look at what's happening over there. I got to be a part of that. And then it grows into things that are beyond your wildest dreams and expectations. That's what the journey of transformation can do for you. And that's why we wrote the book. We're just so excited about people catching it and beginning to see those results happen. And then there's a whole group of people that come with you.
I agree. Hey, are you guys okay to answer a couple of questions?
Yep. Oh, love to.
Perfect. So we're going to answer 2 or 3 questions here in Austin. I'm going to start with an online question, but we have a mic here. If you have a question for John and Rob, we're going to get started. John, Cece said, not I hope, but Cancun will change. And so I just need you to know there's ambassadors for Change Your World guys out there all over the world. Jeff Teeney said, what should be the top priority of a leader that's trying to transform strong leaders on his team?
Well, it's a great question. It's a very simple answer. People do what people see. And what you want your people to be and do, you need to be and do. And example is the most powerful leadership tool that we have to bring change. That's why when we go into these countries on transformation, the first thing we teach them is transformation begins in me. And when that happens, now transformation can happen in others. We got some questions there too.
I think the whole key to the book is, as you begin to read it, is that true transformation happens when we live good values. So people want to start sometimes at those outcomes, but you got to start with values, and we teach 25 what we feel are the 25 most key values to produce transformation. Mm-hmm. And so everything is based on values in this book, and learning those, and the assessment test. This is incredible, this assessment of how many of these transformational values do I have in my life? How strong are they in my life? Where am I weak in my life? I mean, we're all on this journey of getting better through these transformational values as leaders, but also with the people that are around us. And we're giving you the tools for free on the website for you to do that for yourself, but also for you to do it for your team, your family, and everyone around you.
Incredible, incredible. Let's go. Here, a question in Austin, Texas. Give us your name and get your question.
Diana Kokoska. Now, my question is, John, you wrote a book, Everyone Communicates and Few Connect. These tables where we transform people, many of them are going to be online by Zoom. So give us some hints on how we can connect with the people via Zoom and then communicate at a very deep level.
Oh, that's a great question. And one of the things that Diana we're doing is we're doing a lot of virtual tables. In fact, Mark, you might want to just take a moment and share with them how that works.
Yeah, so literally already online, people have got the book, obviously. They've taken the assessment. We deliver the results of the assessment, how you rank compared to the 25 transformation values. They get that assessment, and then you're invited into online virtual roundtables that you can either do virtually or you can download the material and do it in your location wherever you are. And so people are going through these transformation tables, and then we're challenging them to go into an action table to actually put into work what we have just learned. When you're done with that, we offer you the ability to choose an agenda, choose an action that you want to be a part of, create an action plan. So there's this whole ecosystem, John, that we have created to make sure that the table is not just not the end, but it's the beginning of true transformation.
Yeah, and let me just say one quick thing about the transformation table. There are three questions that people are continually asking when they want to improve their life. And the three questions are best answered around the table. The questions are, do you care for me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? And the table is just the place where those questions are asked, better than anywhere else. And so whether you have your own table that you begin, and we want you all to begin that, or whether you go on a virtual table, those three questions, as you spend some time with those people, do you care for me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? Are going to be answered. And that's where the change begins. The change begins is when you get into that safe environment that the table provides.
Yeah. Let's go right over here. Your name.
Thank you. My name is Rafael Dejan. The question I have, I'm actually one of the certified member for John C. Maxwell. We are actually taking this book to Africa to train so many people. I don't know if there's an e-version of it available so far. And the second question would be if it's possible, if we have a French version of it already.
So let me answer that.
Yep, we do.
So for the first time ever, we've had a simultaneous launch of a John Maxwell book. It was launched in English, Spanish, and Romanian. So Change Your World at the top of the page, you can do a drop down and get those two languages. French and Polish will be available on March the 15th, both online and the translations. You can do that again, because I'm proud of our team. Yes. I'm proud of our team. Proud of our team. Our team has done this, and so we're going to have it available in those 5 languages first, but don't fear. We're coming to you. We're going to get your language in as well.
Mon ami,
Oui.
ça vient en français tout de suite. On va le faire pour toi et pour
Merci.
tous les pays de le Sahel. D'accord?
Merci.
Et on va le faire ensemble.
Merci, merci John, merci toute l'équipe.
Rob, you say that in Southern.
Yeah, I'll explain. Let me translate.
Hey y'all, hey y'all.
That was so good. That's why.
We're going to have it in Georgian.
That's why he co-authored the book. I don't know French. And I knew we needed to get that into that French market. That is so good. By the way, I'm so glad you're a John Maxwell team member. How many John Maxwell team members do we have? Would you? Look at them. We got a bunch of them here. I'm so proud. How many team members do we have now?
37,000.
37,000 in how many countries?
161.
161 countries. Now, the reason I say that is there are some of you here, some of you online, you'd like to become a John Maxwell team member. We certify you to be a coach and to be able to really help people in so many areas, leadership, just entrepreneurship, et cetera. If they want to become a John Maxwell team member, what do they do?
Go to johnmaxwellteam.com and you'll get more information about becoming a certified coach team member.
I want you on my team. Okay.
Hola Mark, hola John, hola Rob. I'm Memo, I'm your amigo. There is a value of multiplication, and I'm representing the 3,000 John Maxwell Team Español members to cambiar el mundo, cambia tu mundo. I was asked when I was here by Cristina Pinella over there, we need to do something in Spanish to the Hispanic community. Aquí estamos, Cristina, John Maxwell Team Español, cambia tu mundo. Muchas gracias for all you do.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's take one more question right here. One more question.
Hey guys, Sean Kokoska. Rob, you'd said in our time together before the event that anybody can change their values. So, two-part question. Number one, how do you form values in the first place? Number two, how do you change them?
Yeah, good. So forming values, it comes back to this question that we heard down here about these round tables. I think that some people are looking for someone else to change their values, just to come in and write them a quick prescription for it. And it doesn't happen that way. I mean, I think one of the keys to really changing your values is authenticity. Is seeing it happen, as John said, in the life of others that are close to you and around you, and seeing that it works in their life. And that's why we immediately decided we've got to go to these round tables where people can sit around with people that are like them, so that it's not something out there that's ethereal that I can't get my hands around, but it's something that I can actually learn in a group community that's authentic. This generation is dying for authenticity. I mean, if we do a ton of research at One Hope, and thankfully my board, by the way, my boss is in the room. Joe Champion's on my board. So thanks to him, he gives us authorization to do it. And by the way, if you didn't know this, Joe is actually Lori's favorite trophy husband. I didn't know if you know that, but yeah. So
we all know that.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to throw that in, Joe. So. But we do a ton of research at One Hope. And the reason we do a ton is we want to understand this next generation and know what they're thinking. Their highest desire is for community, for authentic relationship. And yet one of their lowest values that they desire is accountability. I want to tell you something. There's no community without accountability. And we can have people out there that are yelling each other on Twittersphere and on Facebook and everything else. And the reason they can't is because there's no community. There's anonymity. There's no consequences for the things that come out of our mouth anymore. And getting people in real relationship with real people makes us accountable together. That's what community is all about. And that's where we see our values formed, in family and in community. So the very structure of how we're creating transformation is to do exactly what we're doing. I mean, from the very beginning, we said, John, if we take everything we've learned for all these years and enact it and are seeing the difference and know how to measure the outcomes, and we write this book, and I believe we have. I believe we've been so true and honest to what has worked for us. We know the next thing people are going to ask is, now what do I do? And so the answer was, John said, we've got to make it simple, guys. And so it really is as simple as this. It's buy the book, go and take this assessment so that you know where you are with your values, so that you can begin to work on them in a small round table together where change can really happen. And I believe that is going to catalyze a movement that really can and will change your world.
Yeah. I go back to Daniel's question from Cuba, what do I do? And you really kind of addressed that. We were talking about that. There was a question that Greg asked yesterday when we were in Knoxville. And Greg asked the question, how do I create this culture of transformation in my company? I really want to go back. I've heard it. I want to go do something. And so we were responding to that, and the school superintendent for Knox County in Knoxville, Tennessee was in the room. He has 4,000 educators. And he said, I really want to bring this book to all 4,000 of my educators. I've caught the vision, and I know if we're going to transform our country, we've got to transform our youth. Before we can transform our youth, we've got to transform our teachers. I'd say Knox County is in good hands with a school superintendent that thinks like that.
Yeah.
And he said, you guys were there, and he said, I want all 4,000 of my teachers to go through this, and I can make it happen in the school day. I'll make it happen. John, I just got to go figure out how to make it work from a budget standpoint. On the other side of the room was another leader that said, hey, I happen to have your solution. I have the budget opportunities. I'm going to buy your 4,000 books if you'll start it this week. School superintendent said, absolutely, done. We're going to do it. And in that room, a teacher, a school superintendent, Knox County, 4,000 educators, and another leader got together and made that happen, went outside and bought 4,000 books. I don't know that we had 4,000 books, but we're going to get the 4,000 books.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Now,
Beautiful.
I was telling that conversation last night in Grand Rapids. And you're not going to believe this, but a guy had gotten up and asked a question, said, I'm going to El Salvador, a bear. A bear said, I'm going to El Salvador. I've got 60 pastors that I share. And John, I want to teach them Today Matters. Will you tell me the best way to teach Today Matters? If you don't know John, yesterday's book is so yesterday. He went, don't teach them Today Matters. Kind of like his book. What was your book? Think on these things. He said, that's terrible. It was almost like he said, that book's terrible. You need to teach them Change Your World. A guy right behind him, his name is Nathan. He runs Benchmark Mortgage. Nathan gets up and says, I have 7 adopted kids in El Salvador, and you have so touched my heart. My company will buy your 60 books and we'll send them to El Salvador for you. Like, good night. While we were sharing the story down front, a school teacher from Chesterfield, Missouri, where we were yesterday, she said, I have 65 students in our junior high school of Chesterfield. I've been looking for something to do to give them a global worldview. Is there any way that my 65 students and the 300 students from these 60 pastors' private schools can get in a learning community and talk about breaking down the barriers and change the world? I said, I think I've got the solution. ChangeYourWorld.com can put together groups from all over the world. And so in one setting, somebody caught the vision, somebody else resourced the vision, and a teacher put it into the students' life.
That's what it's all about.
That's a movement.
That's a movement.
That's a movement. That's a movement. We're out of time, but we're not out of stories. There's a bunch in the book. I'm going to challenge you. Some of you VIPs, you already got your book. Congratulations. But I don't think you're done. I think you need to get a book for some other people. I think you need to already be thinking about, who do I know that needs to be in a 5 to 8 member transformation table? And John Robb, if you'll sign a book to each of those people, I'm going to go invite them into my transformation table, and I'll buy a book. Now, I've got to ask you a question.
Ready.
Will y'all sign in?
In fact, we'll not only sign them. In fact, now all these cities are starting to run together. But 2 ladies came up 2 days ago, and they had about 14 books, and they have small groups. Mm-hmm. And they said, would you sign? We put their names of every one of their small groups in their book. They said, tomorrow morning we're going to our small group. We're going to give each one of them the book, and we're going to start transformation tomorrow morning in our small group. That's what we're talking about. I would encourage you. I mean, I could tell you stories about businesses that use transformation table with all their employees and the life change that we have seen happen because of that. So if you've got a table you want to start, you got people you want to have, and you got people in your organization. If you'll buy a box, whatever you want, we'll sign the name. You just get those names ready, and we'll sign for you, and you can take it back. And that's what's exciting to me, because we're literally seeing people say, okay, I got it. This is not just a book for me. This is for my team. Let's get them growing together and learning together. And so, yeah, Rob and I don't know, we may be out there for an hour or two, but we'll sign books for you. You just bring them by, and we'll do our best.
And so,
to serve you.
So that's the marching orders here. Buy the book, Take the assessment. Tell us how we've done with this assessment. I'm very excited about the 6,000 that has already taken this assessment. We want you here. Join the movement. For you online, talked a little bit just now to our Austin crowd, but we want you in this. I want to challenge you. Get somebody you know. We'll be back live today at 3:45 Central Time on John's Facebook page, on YouTube, however you got to us today. We'll be back. And in that setting, we're going to be talking about bringing it into a place of faith, a church, and beginning transformation. We've started in businesses. We've started in the education. We've done a business event just like this. We're going to be back with you talking about how to do this in your community. So join us then in Austin, right here in Georgetown. Will you help me thank our online viewers for joining us today? Hey, you guys have got to go.
Beautiful.
Thank you so
You've
much.
got to go with us to Bismarck, North Dakota. Anybody jump on the plane and go with us?
You've been saying Bismarck.
Bismarck.
It's Bismarck.
We're going somewhere in just a little while. I have no idea where it is, but I know.
No. It's cold. It was his idea.
Hey.
And Rob and I may send him alone.
I mean, John said Bahamas and he heard Bismarck. I don't know what happened there. That was weird.
Well, yeah, but we also said Grand Cayman. He took us to Grand Rapids.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what's going on.
It's very obvious that the guy just doesn't get it. That's
Focus. Focus, guys. Focus. This is all
Mark,
about the vision.
Mark, he'll go anywhere. He just wants to get his tentacles out there just everywhere. He's just
Hey, guys, thank you. This has been, John, is it fair to say this has been the best audience so far?
It's fair.
I gotta say.
It's absolutely fair.
Love you guys. Love
Thanks,
you
Joe.
guys.
Absolutely fair.
Thanks, guys.
Right out in the concourse, John Maxwell, Rob Hoskins will be out there to sign
Let's
your
do
book, or let me say it differently, your books. Go start a movement. Go to changeyourworld.com. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
All right, we'll see you out there. Grab your books.